There are certain things which I hate modeling. Stairs, because it's always a puzzle, and when you're done, you're not like, oh, look what I did. It's just like, those we got stairs now. But as a Christmas gift to myself, I wanted to figure out how to do stairs quickly and efficiently so that I did not need to fear them forever. I could just be like, all right, stairs, let's get this done with as fast as possible. And I figured out some stuff. Let's do stairs. Okay, so we're going to make our plane here. We're going to go into edit mode, scale it down, grab this edge here, and pull things over. We're going to be doing a few things a couple times. First, we're going to be aware of what mode we're in. Are we in vertex selection, edge, or face selection mode? I'm going to stay in edge for a lot of this. And we're also going to be using the Shift G command, which allows you to select like similar components. Like right here, I have this edge selected. If I hit Shift G, I can go select similar length, which would be, you know, also this one, or the same one like direction, which is, you know, again, that one. Or amount of faces around an edge, which presumably would be, yeah, all four of those, because they all are touching one face. Just cool kind of stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna lift this up to be like maybe like 35 degrees. It sounds about right for stairs. I looked it up actually, and it turns out stairs can be most any angle. Eventually, it's technically a ladder, but there isn't a hard and fast rule that I know of. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this edge here and extrude that up to be the side of the stairs. And this is going to get us into the other tool we're going to be using quite a bit, which is edge split. So right now these are, you know, this edge is shared by both of these faces, but if we select all of this and right click and say edge split, now each of these has their own version of that edge there. These are actually two separate faces, which is really cool. And that means we can hit Control R and add a bunch of steps here without having it loop all the way around and add a bunch of edges here also, which is handy. I'm not modeling this to scale because stairs are already horrible enough, but it's like 5.5, 6 stairs to like the hip height of a person if you bring in like a human mesh, just kind of as a point of reference. All right, so now I'm going to hit Control L, select all of these linked pieces, and right click, edge split, separates them all into their own stairs. And now if we go into face selection mode, and if we scale on the z-axis, you can see it all moves together. But if we make it so that each of these are moving on their own individual origins, we can flatten out each of these stairs SZ0. So scale on the z-axis to 0, and we've got those stairs. I'm going to SX to scale them out, give them a little bit of overhang, and maybe go back to median, tuck them back in so that they all fit inside this area here. And then E to extrude them all downwards. I'm going to grab one of these faces here and hit Shift G to select similar, like we were doing with the edges earlier. And a lot of these would work, but what I want is normal. That's every face that's facing the same direction. And you can also pop open this side thing here and increase the threshold if you have kind of some undulation or it isn't all totally perfect. But in this case, they totally are. So I can hit I to inset and E to extrude them all downwards. That's cool. Okay. And honestly, this is here. I'm going to extrude this out too, and then duplicate it over here. And these could be some stairs, if you know, like that's fine. But let's get a little bit cooler than that. So let's try to do a wacky railing. And there's a lot of ways to go about this. So I'm probably going to get confused, but let's see how it goes. I'm going to extrude this upwards to about a good railing height. And here, actually, let's right click. Edge split these two so it's its own face. In fact, let's hit P, separate by selection. So now it isn't just its own face, it's its own object, and we can work on it on its own. I'm going to add a kind of a separator divider here. All of this geometry is going to become, you know, railing bars. And so this is just the bar that's under the handrail to make sure like kids can't fall off the sides of the stairs. So this works good. Here, let's hit Control R, add a few loops here. Yeah, that's probably good. And here, Control B to bevel these out. X, delete faces, and let's bring these ones in too. Select these and just double tap G to slide them along the those other edges there. Yeah, that's nice. And here, to complicate our life, let's hit E and extrude this out too, and that looks pretty good. I'm going to hit A to select everything, and X, delete only faces. So now we're just left with this outer geometry here. You can see we have these bits down here, which we don't want as part of the railing, so I'm going to hit X, delete only edges. In fact, I'm going to grab all these bottom pieces here, move them up a little bit, and extrude them out. I want them to kind of wrap around the staircase, just a tad. Yeah, that'll probably work. Now I'm going to select one of these vertexes here and hit Shift G select by similar amount of connecting edges, which means any point that's just in between two edges, connecting two edges, is now selected. So we can hit Control-Shift-B and bevel these individual points. And if we want to, we can scroll up, add a little bit more geometry there. And that's looking pretty good. So one thing we can do really quick that I love to do is if we just hit F3, convert to curve, we now have our curve options, and we can go to geometry and turn up the depth. However, you'll notice it does some weird stuff. In general, it works okay, and if you're going for a wide shot, this would totally work. But anytime one of these points is trying to go around a 90-degree angle, it kind of squishes. You see that? And we can avoid that really quick by here. I'm just going to undo until we get back to a mesh mode. So I'm going to select all of these inner edges here and right-click and say split. And so now they're just their own thing. Oh, these two are still selected. So here, let's just do that again. Split is really handy. And these two still have a 90-degree angle right here. So I'm just going to do it here too. Just right-click, split. And now, ideally, if we go back and say convert to curve and turn up the geometry, yes, nothing is doing that wacky taper, which is really cool. And I'm hopping back because I do want to add that this technique is useful for a lot more besides railings. I used to do like Bezier curves and try to hand line everything up like this, and it was just really annoying to have to kind of model this. Like, oh, geez. Or I'd create like a cylinder here, and I would try to just kind of rotate it all by hand, like kind of this to make rails, and all of it was just a pain in the butt. And so being able to just kind of work like this and use my regular modeling muscle memory to make everything happen is just so much easier than just like deleting only faces and all of these interior ones here. Control-Shift-B, you know, round the whole thing out. F3, convert to curve, and do your little geometry thing. And yeah, now it's just a lot easier to get these types of complex shapes, but with a lot of control and symmetry and all of that. I love being able to add, you know, little complex buckles or roll cages to the outside of a vehicle. Is a really good way to add a lot of detail without too much work. And so, yeah, this is just, it's a lot easier to work with the mesh tools than the curve augmentation tools, I think. Let's go down under the bevel options and check fill caps, which fills in the end here. And now I'm going to go and convert it back into a mesh. And if we select one of these and hit Shift-G, select by normal, we select all of these. Although you'll also see we select the underside of a few other points too. So I'm just going to delete those. I'm not worried about those. And let's hit Control-X to do a limited dissolve, which just gets rid of anything it thinks isn't important, which is kind of handy. Change this to individual origins, and I'm going to duplicate this, bring it up, scale each one up. And the cool thing, again, is we're working on all of these different posts at once, which is a really nice way to not have to do things over and over. And just hit E to extrude them on up. Here I'm going to right-click, Shade Smooth, and let's actually go into the data settings, normals, and check Auto Smooth, and tweak this so that all of these pipes are around. Yeah, that's nice. And if we want, we can finish up this bit right here, selecting this. Let's bring it in, extrude it back out. And if I Control-Alt-click on this edge here, select all four of these along that loop, and I can hit Control-B, bevel these out just a little bit, and I might actually select this face, hit I to inset, and E to extrude it in. Then select linked, Control-L, and then Shift-D to duplicate it, and hit Y to move it on the Y-axis, and SY to scale on the Y-axis, -1 to basically just invert it, and there we go. And here, we might move this out just a tad to make this kind of fit here, and let's do the same thing here. -1 and position it right, and we've got some nice industrial stairs. And if we go and we make this, you know, a yellow kind of safety railing thing, I actually looked up like the OSHA guidelines for doing this, and it gave me some interesting ideas. In fact, we should do that too in a second. And these railings are maybe a little bit too beefy. We might be able to select everything and hit Alt-S to move them all in on their normals, but my guess is we're going to start seeing artifacts like that if we do that too much. But just a little bit seems kind of okay, maybe. But you can do lots of other different types of railings with this kind of same technique. So here, let's go in solid view here. Let's just do another one over here. Mesh plane, rotate it 90 degrees. Here, let's turn off this widget. Pull this over. We're just going to do the exact same thing as before. Actually, no, we're not. Here, I'm going to create this loop here. I'm going to extrude it out. I'm going to extrude it up. This is one thing I saw in the OSHA guidelines, which is kind of cool. Select everything, hit X. Only faces. We're going to select this one and these two also, and X, delete those edges, and now I think we're ready to go. Here, we're going to select one of these, Shift-G, select by amount of connecting faces, and this is everything that we want to curve with Control-Shift-B. And we've got We've got that. Grab these, right-click, split them into their own unconnected pieces here, and we should just be able to go convert to curve, turn up the bevel depth. That looks good to me, except we have this pinching here. So here I'm going to undo it, go back into mesh mode, and just separate these ones too. So here we'll just hit Y, which is the split command. And now if we convert it to a curve and turn up that depth, everything is nice and clean. I like that a lot. In fact, we can even here, let's go select this face here, and Control L to select linked, and Shift D duplicate it up. If we hit Alt S, we can actually scale the depth of the beveling. So here I'm going to scale this down nice and small, and just add a little bit of kind of decorative stuff right here. All right, actually here, let's select this this whole railing bit. Control L, select linked, and bring it down just a tad. It was just, I think, a post-2017 OSHA rule that they want a handrail that's separate from just the top of the railing for whatever reason. But it adds some visual interest. And again, if you had a bunch of these kind of lined up, it would look... Railings are cool because they're very visually impactful. They're a way, you know, they're a thing that can exist that you can kind of see through, and it just helps add layers to your composition and can add some really easy, lazy copy and paste complexity with a night. And they're easy to model, and they can make things feel industrial or kind of like, you know, denote the vibe of the location that you're in. And so they really are worth giving a little bit of love to. Now, just to prove that I don't need to be afraid of stairs anymore, I'm going to try to model them as quickly as I can, which means I'm going to mess up a lot, because anytime I ever try to do anything quickly, I mess up a lot. So we're gonna do that. Let's create a plane. We're gonna bring it out. We're gonna bring it up maybe like 30 degrees. Extrude our side bit here. Select everything. We're going to edge split, which means we can add all of these here, and also right click and edge split. Let's go into face selection mode, individual origins, scale all of these to 0. In fact, let's bring them all out a little bit and bring them inside of this side rail here, which is ready for us to add a railing to. So here, let's extrude this up. Gonna select linked and right click edge split, and here let's bring this into its own object. P, separate by selection here, which means we can add our safety railing here and a couple other maybe support beams. X, delete faces. Grab these edges, double tap to bring them in a little bit. This should be okay. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, let's X, delete only faces, and let's also get rid of these little extra edges down here. X, delete edges and faces. I'm gonna grab these and hit Y to separate them out. Grab one of these points, Shift G, separate by the amount of connecting edges. Control Shift B. We're gonna bevel these out to round them out a little bit. Gonna grab all these bottom ones here and add a little bit, just more information there. Extrude it out, bring it down, and here let's bevel those just a tad too. Control Shift B. Don't want them to overlap. That's looking good. F3, convert to curve, turn up the depth of the bevel a little bit. Let's check fill caps. F3, convert to mesh again. Gonna grab one of these, Shift G, select by normal, X, limited dissolve, get rid of that extra geometry there, make sure we're in individual origins, duplicate this, bring it up, scale each one up, extrude it upwards, and here let's make this side piece a little bit more interesting too. Here, let's add a loop here, bring it down, and here I'm gonna bring that like that. Another one up here. This is actually probably not the best way to do it, but it feels a little bit more something to me for whatever reason. Here, we'll grab this, drag it down, select all of that, extrude it out. In fact, we can add a few more separators here. Shift G, select by normal, double tap I to extrude inwards here. We can grab these ones, duplicate them on the y-axis, SY, -1, bring it over to here, and let's do the same thing with here. -Y, bring it on over, and there we go. We got steps. We can put these steps anywhere. We could have them wrap around buildings. You know, you could always do something like, you know, you have your flat area, and then you have your, you know, and have more stuff going over this way, and just separate all of these into stairs and do exactly what we did, but, you know, have any shape you want. Sorry, I'm still in you gotta go fast mode, but we don't have to go fast anymore. I can, whoa, that was wrong. Okay, I'm gonna end this video. Thanks for hanging out and making some stairs. Hopefully there's something kind of useful in there, when I wasn't trying to talk too fast. I don't know. I'll talk to you later. Peace.